Welcome to the Profitability Podcast. I'm Joey.
And I'm Mackenzie.
Join us as we explore success in business and life, proving that while finance may not feel sexy, profitability is.
We have officially made it through tax season. And so today we're doing a fun little episode where we're bringing on Bailey for the very first time as our resident CPA. And if you worked with us during tax season, you very likely worked with Bailey. And she's amazing. We're going to sing her praises this entire episode because she just did all the hard work this season. We really didn't do anything.
Oh, but you really did.
Here you go.
Thank you. No, I love it. No, really though, you did a ton of the client interaction, and that is huge.
You see why we like you. It works out perfect. We have a great relationship. Anyways, we're so happy to have you on the team. And we've never had you on the podcast, but now that we're through tax season and you have your head above water, we figured we'll bring you on and talk to you about some of the things that you saw during tax season, some of the things you hope to never see again, some things that people can do to prepare for next year. Even if they're not thinking about it right now, they can at least, I don't know. I think a lot of people are feeling the pain of it right now, especially if they owed or didn't feel like they got really great strategy. So having a little chat about what business owners can do to never have to feel that again would be awesome. But before we dive into that, we'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us about you, how you got here, what you love. I don't know. What do the people need to know about Bailey?
Well, my name's Bailey. I'm happy to be here. So really I have 3 kids. They're all little, like 8 and under, and it's so fun, but it's also like, I think all of us are in that same boat. It's a lot of work to be a full-time working mom at this age. So it's a lot of balance, which is good and bad. And there's like happy and ugly to all of it, but I love it and I wouldn't change it. I live in Idaho. Super fun. Not by choice, but here we are. I grew up in Utah, lived in Utah my whole life, and always swore I was never going to live in Idaho. Married an Idaho boy. He swore he was never moving back to Idaho. And 6 months ago, we moved to Idaho. And so here we are, embracing Idaho. It's snowed today. It snowed all day today. So I'm really bitter today about Idaho, but tomorrow will be fine. I have been a CPA for, I don't even know. My son's 7 or 8, so probably like 5-6 years now. I had my son when I was in my master's degree, or getting my master's degree. Did my internship right after he was born, all of the fun stuff. And I've had an accounting background for like my whole adult working life. My parents had a business. I learned bookkeeping from my mom, learned all the entrepreneurial side from my dad. My grandpa started the business. So I have a ton of respect for business owners and entrepreneurs because I was raised in that environment. I was raised by a mom who was trying to run a business and had 1 billion kids all at the same time. So, like, to me, this is like following in my mom's footsteps. I know, I love her. I learned a ton from her of what to do and not to do with bookkeeping from a woman who just like figured it out on her own from a business owner perspective that I did not learn at school. Because school, walk away from school and you know nothing. And then you get into it, and then it all starts to click and make sense. And so after I graduated college, I went to work in a public firm in Utah, and it was more of like a smaller regional firm. I thought it would be a much better environment than I had heard about at the Big Four. And it probably was, but it still was not the best environment for me personally. There's some people who would love it, and they're mostly men who love to golf. And then there's women like me who really struggled in that environment. But I learned a ton. I love working with the clients. I love the work that I did. But working in a public accounting firm was really hard with young babies. So after I'd been there for a couple of years, I got an opportunity to work as a CFO and controller for a real estate development company and a nonprofit. And I loved it. I learned a ton. The guy who owned both, like who managed both, he was an accountant. And so he taught me all of the accounting from like a managerial and ownership perspective. Like I'd had, bookkeeping experience from mom. I had the public accounting experience from the CPA firm. And now I got this really in-depth experience of how to run a business, like how to make business decisions, how to do like job costing, all these things that was super, super valuable. And I loved it. I learned a ton. And from there, it kind of just snowballed into more of a fractional CFO work. And that snowballed into one thing to another. I guess I'm very opportunistic, and I as a mom, like I have really prioritized finding jobs and work that was flexible, that I can take time off to go read to my kindergartner, or I can go pick up my sick kids at a moment's notice from daycare. That's really, really important to me. And so I've always kind of shifted into things that work best for me. I had a job, a CFO client who asked if I would come in and work full time in the office because it was more convenient for him. And I said no. And so that was really hard. So I had to shift again and find other work that worked for me. So it's been a lot of learning. And thankfully COVID made this way more possible. But yeah, how I found you guys was on Instagram, because I was trying to build up my own thing. So I was looking at other firms who were doing marketing, and I loved the message that the Profitability Project was like putting out there, like what you guys were saying about just like the empowerment of women and business owners in general. That really spoke to me, because I was trying to run my own thing. I've seen women business owners. I've worked with business owners. I've worked with the traditional male finance side of it. And so everything that you guys were talking about, I loved. And so I watched you for a couple months. And then one day, just randomly, and I am not like this. I am not like this at all. I messaged you on Instagram, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I like you. Can I be on your team? And here we are. I don't know how it happened, but it worked, I guess.
Yeah. When you messaged, first of all, your timing was really great. Because we were really looking for a CPA at the time. And I remember going to Kenzie and being like, you will not believe what just happened. A CPA wants to come work for us. It's like, this is the greatest. And then when we met the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, perfect fit. Like, this is so fantastic. It really was just one of those things. Timing worked out. It was just, what'd you call it? Oh, you call it a God thing. It was a God thing. It just like,
it was a God thing. Yeah.
You just I can't explain it, but it works out really great. And you know that it's that because I didn't know any of those things about you. I have no idea your work history. I know you have 3 kids. I was going to say something about your husband. I don't know your husband's name.
Oh, my husband's name is Joe. So I've actually I've typed out, I got to talk to Joe, and then it sounds really weird. And so I just erase it and said my husband, and that feels weird too. So yeah, my husband's name is Joe.
Employer of the year over here, because I'm like, you seem like a vibe fit. Come on over. Sounds good.
First off, also, why do all our husbands have the most normal names ever? Mark, Zach, Matt, and Joe? Are we joking?
Well, we're all accountants, so I feel like we're at the end of the day, we're pretty basic.
That's so funny.
Yeah. We just want a nice hometown guy. I don't know. It's like boy next door type is our type.
I thought I was marrying a cowboy. Turns out when we dated, so fun story. When we met on horses. I was riding a horse. He was riding a horse. We were on a mountain. We met. I said, I'm going to marry you. And then we did. And so I thought forever and ever. That's the condensed story. That's the fun story. No, it took me a minute to convince him of my plan, but eventually I got him to propose to me. And so
Oh my gosh.
the real story is way cuter. But anyway, he was a cowboy. And so I'm like, we're going to grow up, or we're going to buy a ranch, and we're going to raise kids on this ranch. And he is amazing. I love him. He is more, how do I even word this? He's like more businessy than I am. I'm a CPA, right? And he's like his career has turned very professional, and it's really cool to see. But it's like, you, sir, are not the man I married. And I love the man that he is today, but just seeing like how he went from like this little hometown cowboy to real estate investor, businessman, it's like really cool. Super beside the point. Sorry. But anyway, I wanted that cowboy. That's how we started.
I kind of want to hear the real story, but first tell me exactly what your husband does, because once again, I don't know. Never asked.
So he invests in real estate is the short answer. Long answer is he has a 506c fund, like a private equity fund registered with the SEC, where he raises investor capital and deploys it into apartment complexes. And in a sense, that's what he does. He does a ton of raising private money, buy apartment complex, rehab it, sell it, do it again. So he has like a couple of those projects going all at the same time. And it is a roller coaster, and it's fun sometimes. So we both work from home, and his office is just like right there through that door. And he'll walk in my office all the time, be like, hey, I have a question for you. I need you to come in here. And I walk in, and he's on a Zoom call with a random investor that I don't know. And they're like, we have some tax questions for you. I'm like, I'm going to start charging for every time he do this to me.
Yeah, I believe that. Is it his thing? Like he just kind of does it on his own, or does he work for a company? Or
he has a business partner that they started it together. It's called Cowboy Capital, which is funny. And that's really why we moved to Idaho, is because his business partner all lives up here, and he wasn't going to move, so we moved to him.
Very interesting. She is the one that's too far away, because the three of us could really like get to each other pretty quickly. Kenzie is like in the boonies. We need her down here. Anyways, that's cool. Yeah, I was curious when he said he decided he was never going to move back to Idaho, because I thought he was the one that wanted to, which it sounds like he kind of was, but that makes sense. It's for business.
Yeah, it was more of a God thing. We felt the call to go, and we jumped. 3 weeks later, we were moving. So I have to be okay with it, but at the same time, I'm really mad about it. But I really do like Idaho. I will say that. I hope my in-laws never hear this, because I like to complain about it. But I really do like Idaho. There's some things that I like about it. I don't want them to be like, you said you like it. But yeah, no, there's good things about it. If we're going to Yellowstone tomorrow, just to go, and I'm really excited about it, because it's like an hour away. So it's cool. There's good things about it.
Especially spring and fall there. It's beautiful. Winters, not as good, but definitely good.
Winter, I'm just trying to survive.
Oh, I was going to comment on, we were sitting on a meeting 2 days ago trying to order cookies for you because it was tax day 2 days ago. And Becca was like, because Becca used to live in Idaho. Where were you, Becca?
Yeah, Rexburg. So,
right
where Bailey lives.
Okay, so Becca's like, oh, you could do nothing bundt cakes, or do this place or that place. And I'm like, they don't deliver to Bailey's house. I'm like, there are 2 things that we can get sent to Bailey's house. Like, where is this place?
No, the cookies are all gone, by the way. They were gone so fast. And I'm not going to tell you who ate most of them. I'm just going to let you all assume it was the kids. But the cookie cottage is good. That's where we always go for cookies. So they catered my son's baptism. So this is a good choice.
Great. Well, I didn't have a lot of them, so we went with what looks good. I also was going to send you a Dr. Pepper, and then I said, I don't actually know if she likes anything in her Dr. Pepper. I got very overwhelmed. So you just got freaky.
No, that was above and beyond. So thank you.
I also felt bad because one of our clients sent cookies that day because we all work remotely. I received them, even though tax day has like not a huge impact on me. So
You earned them. You really did.
when you told me that we had 81 tax clients, I was like, I did earn this. Like, that was a lot. I had no idea that we did 81. That's crazy. I think our goal was 60.
I think that included like 81 different tax returns, right? So there are some clients who had like the S corps and the partnerships and then an individual. So yeah,
That's crazy stuff. Anyways, which is, for context, anyone that's listening, not a lot. But for me to hand 81 over to Bailey, that is a lot. So it's fine.
First tax season. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
for year one as like a new established tax firm, I'm happy with it. Next year is going to be awesome, but this year was a lot of trial and error. We learned a lot. And this wasn't my first tax season, right? Like I've had a lot of tax seasons, but this is my first tax season, like jumping in year one. You know what I mean? And so I learned a ton about all the sides of this. So it was really good. Today, I'll say that. 2 days ago, I probably wouldn't say that. But today, looking back, it was actually great.
The fact that Bailey didn't quit this week is truly, once again, a miracle because, yeah, we learned a lot. We'll just continue to say that. I was thinking this morning, I'm like, if we were to poll people and say, would you rather have a firm who is new at tax processes but has established tax experts, or would you prefer a firm that has fantastic tax processes but junior tax people? And I think they would say the first, right? Where the tax expert. So maybe the communication is a little clunky and maybe, we could have done 1 or 2 things better operationally. And certainly we will. Like, don't get me wrong. We have big plans. But on the flip side, I had a client yesterday tell me that she is with a huge firm, that the process itself is very streamlined. But then when she got into it, she realized her tax preparer had never done taxes before, was not a CPA, like just got kind of thrown into it from the bookkeeping department. And the client ended up having to walk the tax preparer through the tax return and like show her where to include things. And I think I would rather stick with us. I mean, I'm biased, but I'd rather have someone who gets me the right tax return or low liability than someone who's like got their email system figured out or whatever. So,
Right. I think a lot of clients base their tax season experience based on how big of a refund did I get and how easy was it for me as the client, right? And I really wish a lot of, especially business owners, would look more into like what goes into filing their business taxes. Like, how is it calculated for them? How is their tax being calculated? Because I think that when they look at it from like a more strategic standpoint of how much am I really being taxed and how do I get taxed, it really changes your whole perspective of taxes. Not that I love taxes or anything, right? It's like my goal as a CPA is to empower the business owner. I'm on the business owner side. I'm not on the IRS side, right? I don't want anybody to have to pay taxes. I want to mitigate it as well as I can with the guidelines given. But a lot of business owners just look at taxes as, and this is obviously very generalized, but a lot of business owners look at taxes as this like evil penalty tacked onto them at the end of the year that they don't really think about throughout the year. But the government's thinking about taxing you every single day of the year. They don't look at it one day of the year, right? They're thinking about it the whole year and calculating how much am I going to get from them throughout the whole year. And so knowing as being part of, as a business owner, that taxes is part of that and tax planning is part of that, I think it really changes their perspective of who's doing their tax return versus how did it go and how much of a refund did I get. I actually wish that in an ideal world, nobody would get a refund. It would be a net zero, right? Like you didn't overpay, you didn't underpay. It's zero, because if you overpaid, you just loaned the IRS money. And that sucks. You could handle your own rating way better than the IRS can. But also, it really sucks when you underpay and you have to pay a penalty. Nobody likes that either.
Yeah. And this is a great transition into, what we're going to talk about today. I am a weirdo, and this is a horrible mentality to have, but I love getting a tax return because then I don't plan on it and it's extra money that I'm like, oh, I could have lived without this the whole time. And so because of that, now I can go on vacation or do something fun. But
Like a bonus
that is,
that they get.
yeah, it kind of feels that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like to your point, if I had just put that away all year, I could have done the same thing, but not at this point, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, but as a business owner, that's really hard. And I think, one really common thing that I saw this tax season is that, especially for small business owners, there's a lot of confusion about what your business return is and what your personal return is and how they go together. Like lots of questions about, okay, well, I thought we had filed my business return and then we turned around and filed my personal return. How come I don't owe on the business, but I owe so much on the personal? Well, your business actually, flows through to the personal return. Or, for Schedule Cs, sole proprietor LLCs, it's actually just a form on your personal return.
It's a big point of confusion.
I was going to say, maybe we could go into a little bit of the business tax 101 side of things. Like, I'm just starting a business. What do I need to know about my business type, or when I'm setting up my business, or maybe my business is set up, but I hear all the time I should be an S Corp. Like, what do I need to know? Very high level about all of that.
For sure. So a lot of times, 99% of business owners, when they start a new business, they get an LLC, right? They start an LLC for their business and they think, okay, my business is an LLC, which is a legal designation. Yeah, it's a limited liability company. It sounds like a business, but from the eyes of the IRS, an LLC is not a type of business. It's just a legal designation. It's a legal thing. It has nothing to do with how you're taxed. The 4 different ways that a business, like a business designation, a business type, essentially, that the IRS considers is a C corporation, an S corporation, a partnership, and a sole proprietorship. And an LLC can be any of those, except not the C corp, but the other 3, the S corp, a partnership, a sole proprietorship, an LLC can be any of those. And so that's where a lot of confusion lies, is they don't know which one they are. They just know they're an LLC because they set up an LLC with the state, which is great. Everyone should have an LLC with the state. That's definitely the first step when you start a business. But when you first start, if you are, they call it like a single member LLC. If you are the only owner of this LLC, the only owner of your business, you're a sole proprietor. And that's when you file a Schedule C on your personal tax return. You have your 1040, your individual tax return. There's just an additional page, Schedule C, that you're putting your business income and your business expenses, and that's it. And then you get taxed on that net. that net income, right? You get taxed ordinary income, or like your income tax, and also you're taxed with self-employment income. And that's what hits a lot of business owners. And so the benefit of moving from a sole proprietor into an S corp is, so you sign an election form, you send a form to the IRS saying, hey, I have an LLC, I want to be taxed as an S corp. And then you have to file a whole new tax return. It's a totally different return than the 1040 individual return, right? It's an 1120S versus your 1040 Schedule C. And so the S corp, the benefit of that is you still report your income and your expenses. It gives you a K1, which is then what becomes like a Schedule K1 on your individual tax return. So you either have the Schedule C because you're a sole proprietor, or you have a Schedule K1 because you're an S corp or you have a partnership, right? And so a partnership and a Schedule C, those two are taxed the same. 100% of that net income is taxed with income tax and self-employment tax. Self-employment tax is Social Security, Medicare. That's like 15.3% tax on top of you're already in your 10 to 12 to 22, whatever tax bracket you're in. So there's the two taxes that you're paying, which is a lot, obviously. So the S corp, the benefit there is the net income does not get taxed. Social Security and Medicare, they do not. The S corp does not have self-employment tax on that net income, but you do have to file a W-2 for yourself. And so the S corp is more work because there's more paperwork. You have to be filing a W-2. You have to do quarterly payroll reports. It's a whole different tax return, but you can save a lot of money on taxes. And so that's the huge benefit. I recommend usually that point, and it's not a one size fits all, but if your net income is 40, 50K plus, that's when you should move from a sole proprietor to that S corp. And the reason is because at that point is when you start to save more money in your taxes from your S corp than you're paying in like accounting fees to file the S corp, right? There's that level of where it's like a diminishing return. So if I start out with my business straight into an S corp, but I'm only making $10,000 a year, I'm paying a heck of a lot of money just to keep my S corp filed and compliant that I'm saving in taxes. So it doesn't really make sense. So that's at some point, that's why a lot of people get confused or don't even know to move to an S corp, is because everyone starts out with this sole proprietorship, and a lot of people get stuck there and have to pay a lot of tax, and they don't know when to move. And so that's a really big pain point that I saw this tax season, is people who should have been an S corp and weren't, or people who were an S corp and probably shouldn't have been because they just ended up paying us more than they saved, which sucks for everybody. Like, that doesn't make us feel good either, right? So, and that's not something you can fix during tax season. So that's the problem. That's not a during tax season fix. You have to file for an S corp during the year, like within the first 2.5 months. You can file late and ask for a late exception, but technically you're supposed to have that S corp election in the year that you're electing. So like if you want to be an S corp in 2025, you need to file an S corp election by February 15th of 2025. Or you can ask for a late exception too, but which usually works. But it's something that has to be done really, really soon.
Right. And if you're filing taxes for 2024 in April of 2025, it's not like you can go change 2024's structure, right? It's far too late for that. There's no going back. You're getting taxed as whatever you were in 2024 by the time you're filing your taxes in 2025. And I think that that's such a misconception. There's so much noise about when you should and shouldn't be an S corp, and I feel like every CPA has their own thoughts and feelings about this. But in my network of CPAs that I trust significantly, including Bailey, you know, the agreement is most of the time accountants are pushing you towards S Corp too soon. If you're under that net. So accountants that are basing it on revenue rather than net income, bottom line, not always the right choice. Sounds like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Gross revenue doesn't mean squat on a tax return, right? Like you're not getting taxed on your gross revenue. Yeah, you're reporting it, but you're getting taxed on that net. The net income is what matters.
I've seen some crazy situations where CPAs are like throwing S Corp at everybody and they are like doing $10,000 in annual gross revenue. And I'm like, what?
We would make so much money if every business owner that came to us and we put them in an S Corp, we'd be rolling in the dough as a tax firm. We're on the side of we're here to serve the business owners. And I'm not here to serve the IRS. I'm like, you're trying to be your buffer, right? I'm trying to protect you from the IRS. That's my goal. Right? So I definitely don't want to put anybody.
Like literally, I think we get such a reputation for being connected to the IRS or almost like part of the IRS as CPAs because we literally work on things with the IRS. I mean, we're submitting tax returns to the IRS, but we are not on the same, we're not part of the same business. We don't work for the government. This is our own business. And what I love about our company, because we double as your CFO, our whole job is to make sure you're profitable, which means that if you're not tax planning and you're not saving for taxes, and if you're overpaying in taxes, we're screwing up and we're doing a horrible job on both sides of the fence as your CFO and your CPA. So like, a lot of accounting firms don't care a lot about your business because they see you in April, they collect their check, they do their work, peace out. But for us, it's like, we want to see you every single month and actually help you reach your financial KPIs. And a huge part of that is making sure you're prepared for taxes. Would you agree?
For sure. I mean, if you have a CPA who only does tax work, they are motivated to keep you as unprofitable as possible because then you're not paying as much in taxes and they look good, right? It's easy if you're not making any money to file your taxes because then you don't owe and your CPA looks like the good guy, right? They're not motivated to help you make money if they're just doing your tax return, right? And we come from a much more like overall holistic, is holistic the right word? But like an overall perspective of we want you to make money. We want you to be putting money aside and paying yourself. We want you to have cash flow in a healthy business. But we also want to help you prepare for taxes, save on taxes. And there's a lot of strategies that we can do too that aren't necessarily cash-based tax deductions, or also like, hey, this is money you're spending anyway in your personal life. Let's just readjust how you're doing it. And then it becomes a qualified business expense, right? There's quite a few things in that perspective that we can do, but we can't do it after the fact. If you're running all the stuff through your personal accounts and your bookkeeper never sees it, or you don't even think about it becoming a business expense, you're missing out on a lot of tax strategies at that point.
And I love that you said cash-based because, and we talked about this on a previous episode, but going and buying a car on December 31st is not a tax strategy. I mean, okay. But if you are trying to, save $10,000 on taxes, buying a 60 grand truck isn't the answer, especially if your business only made 50 grand. Like, please don't go buy a car to save $10,000 on taxes if it's going to cost you 60. Like, where this idea came from, I will never understand. But if we can do tax strategies, especially that don't affect cash, like that is win-win-win. That is as good as it gets. But to your point, we can't make that call. You can't make that call. at midnight on December 31st. Sorry, we're not in office like the last 2 weeks of December. Don't ask us. I don't want to talk to you. Just kidding. I do, but I don't want to work.
But that is not the time.
Yeah, not the time. April 14th is even worse. We are very grouchy people, April 14th. Like, don't call me, okay? I love you. I told you all year to call me. So sorry, I can't help you now, but it's like there's so much that you can do all year round to make tax season like that. And to not stress, to have cash, even to your point, even if you end up owing, that can be a good sign because it means you made money. And if we helped you make that money, then we're also going to help you know how much to put away for taxes. So even if you have this huge tax liability because you made $10 million, we put aside all the cash that the IRS is going to collect. So it's still a no-brainer. It's still not going to ruin your business.
Absolutely.
This is a win-win still, you know? So,
right. Business owners, you're not the only one that's procrastinating, right? I think half of our clients got to us in that last week of April before the tax deadline. That's when we heard from everybody. That's when everybody wanted to schedule their appointments. I can't give you quality service that I want to that week before tax deadline, right? We're not doing good tax planning strategy work then. So please call me way before then.
And I think that maybe sometimes this comes across as like some ploy to make more money off of our clients of like, oh, you need all of these things. And I'm not going to say that we don't make money off of those services. We do. I'm not, obviously we do.
Sure. It's a service.
I'm telling you, it's a service. So as the Profitability Project, I literally have to make money or I would be going against everything I believe in. But I genuinely, before we did taxes, did not comprehend the difference between tax prep, tax strategy, and tax filing. And now I'm like, I want everyone to understand that those are very different things. And just because you have a CPA doing your taxes does not mean, first of all, it actually doesn't mean it's a CPA. Unless you know for sure, people can do that without a CPA license. You can just file taxes. Second of all, it does not include automatically 3 tax strategy meetings to go through every single one of your expenses and make sure that you've included every possible deduction you can possibly think of, especially if you only paid $150. Don't take tax strategy advice from anyone that's only charging $150, okay? Just run for the hills. And then tax prep is really something that is done far before tax season even starts. And that is something that we don't have to do. We offer it, but can definitely be done outside of us. And please, for the love of all things holy, do tax prep even if you don't use us. It will make your life so much easier when it's time to do tax filing, which is really the January through April time.
Yeah, absolutely. Will you go into what is that? What is that tax prep? What are we supposed to be doing as business owners? I think that's a really important step is they show up in March, April, February, thinking now's my time to do taxes. Tell me what I need to give you. Tell me what I need to prep. But what are those things that they should be doing the rest of the year? And I have a lot of ideas, but I don't know if you have any ideas too. And you're muted too.
I mean, now of things, because we've done a tax season together, you should really be the one to answer that. Other than, I will say, bookkeeping in any form. I have my preferred forms and ways that will make it easier, but please track your revenue and your expenses, which is why we tell you to have a separate account for your personal and your business. Because if you, on April 1st even, are going through every bank statement of 2024 to try and pick out what was business revenue and what was a business expense, I promise you, you will not have a stellar tax return filed on your behalf. I just promise you that, because there's no way you're getting everything. And who wants to spend their time like that? Not me. And I like finances and numbers. So whether you use the dreaded spreadsheet, it's fine. We have a spreadsheet template that I will happily share with anybody. Or you use an accounting software like QuickBooks. Please stay on top of your expenses and have only business stuff going into the spreadsheet or the accounting software. Because if you do that all year, filing is just, I don't know, 150% more accurate, maybe. And 2,000% faster. And
Yep.
more painless, less painful, whatever. It's just, bookkeeping would be my number one. And obviously that's where I got my start. So that's why I say that. But now that I've done a whole tax season, I'm like, I have a newfound love and appreciation for solid bookkeeping.
As women, life demands a lot from us, but there is no reason for you to put your business goals on hold. At the Profitability Project, we understand that your business can't be your whole life. Balancing personal life and work is always hard, and we want to help you make the most of every day. We are here to craft financial strategies to help you achieve the lifestyle you want. With options ranging from online courses to done-for-you services, you'll discover new ways to maximize profitability, streamline your operations, and take the guesswork out of taxes. We have what you need to take your business to the next level. Interested? Learn more about the Profitability Project at theprofitabilityproject.com. That's theprofitabilityproject.com. Get ready to grow your business without sacrificing your entire life.
Bookkeeping is the foundation of all. And I feel like I have to, I switch hats here because I do a ton of CFO work and I do a lot of CPA tax work, and I have different perspectives of bookkeeping in both, right? If I have my CFO hat on, I'm getting real nitpicky, and and I think you probably even see this today. I'm getting in there and I need to see all the numbers very, very well laid out. Bookkeeping is so important. But then on the tax side, I'm like, I just hope you have something, right? If you're coming to me on April 10th with your receipts and a prayer, it's going to be tough for all of us. And I have two different examples, right? I had one client one year that came to me in September. They emailed me. They're like, hey, I haven't got anything figured out yet. Are you going to can you help me? And this is the first time the first time they've ever come to me for taxes. I'm like, sure. Yeah, let's do it. Go ahead and send me all your stuff.
September after the April deadline. So it
Yes.
would be September 25, but they're talking about 20.
Correct. Yeah. So they came to me September 2024 looking to file 2023 taxes. I'm like, sure. Yeah, let's do it. I have time. I got you. I sent them the portal, the link. I said, give me your income and your expenses here. Let's go through it all. And I wake up the next morning to 100 pictures and screenshots of all of their expenses individually lined out. And I told them, this ain't gonna fly. You need to go through these and add these up, or I will charge you double. This is gonna be a lot of work. And they didn't. And they already hired me. They already paid me a deposit. I'm gonna do what I need to do to help them out. But they were not happy with my service. And they did not come back the next year, right? No wonder. Because they had a bad experience because I did not have the information I needed, and they didn't get the information that they needed, right? It made for a really crappy experience on both sides. But then I had one of our clients this year. We filed their return. They gave me all of their income and expenses. They owed money, and I told them, hey, this is where you're at for the year. And she's like, okay, what can we do about it? And I said, all right, well, let's go through your personal expenses. look for these 3 things. Look for, and I'll tell you what I told her. I said, look for anything that you may have accidentally purchased that on your personal card that could have been for your business, anything that you purchased for your home office, any business trips that you took, or any trips that you took that had some type of business purpose, right? Anytime you were having coffee or lunch with some business friends, networking, go through your personal return, look for your personal bank statements, find some of that stuff, and we'll throw it on there. And she saved $3,000 worth of taxes in 5 hours worth of her just going through her personal returns, and saved $3,000. So that's where I'm like, bookkeeping, just tracking anything in any format. As with my CPA hat on, I'm like, tracking in any format is great. CFO format or hat, I'm like, we're going to do it right, but we're going to do a great job getting that bookkeeping. But from the tax side, I'm like, I mean, obviously the better you are at tracking your expenses, the better of a tax return that you're going to have. But
And
anything's better than 100 pictures in my inbox of screenshots.
so many thoughts. First thought is, from a CFO standpoint, to your point, being nitpicky about bookkeeping, for sure. Like, there's a lot of that, which is a huge reason that we do it in-house, is because I'm like, yeah, I can do CFO only, and I do. We do that with people. But I get kind of bossy with whoever they're using for bookkeeping, whether they're doing it themselves or someone else is doing it, if we're not, because it makes a huge difference. But if you are sending 100 pictures, or even if you're using a spreadsheet but you don't update it once a month, how, excuse my language, but how the hell are you making any kind of business decision? I'm sorry, but please consult your finances if you're thinking of making a financial decision. So outside of the tax thing, and even outside of what we want to see as CFOs, you have to stay on top of your finances every single month over month, just to keep your business alive. That there's a reason bookkeeping is a popular industry. It's because it's got to get done. Even if you don't file taxes, it's got to get done. And then the other thought that I had was gone now. It's just
So when I am talking to people about CFO services, I give them this spiel, which is so funny because of everything that I just said. I'm like, just track anything. But when I actually am trying to help somebody on their bookkeeping, on their business side, and taxes is kind of an afterthought, a lot of business owners have this perspective of bookkeeping sucks. It's monotonous. It's pointless. Like, I'm just tracking, like, they're just tracking numbers for the IRS. And yeah, that does suck. Like, what's the point in that? That sucks. Nobody wants to do that. Like, that's a chore. And that's like bad data, right? As a business owner, there's so much information and data going through your business that you are losing by not doing really good, clean bookkeeping, or not hiring somebody to do really good, clean bookkeeping. There's good data and there's bad data. Bad data is when you're just throwing stuff together in a spreadsheet for your taxes. It's going to be good enough to file your taxes, but you're just not going to love the outcome of your business finances or your tax return, right? But if you take the time to open up the scary bank statements and just look at them, right? A lot of financial decisions are emotional, and that's what makes all of this really tricky for business owners, is because a lot of people are tying their self-worth and success as a business owner on the finances. And that's really, really scary when you don't know what your finances are, right? And so we're here to be that, like, I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to be there to walk you through it all. I didn't know I was signing up to be a therapist, but here we are. We are financial therapists, because really, as a business, and I think we've even experienced this both with our own businesses. We've had this conversation. Our own business finances it's like tough for us, even as business owners. Tough as in like we get attached to the money coming in and out of our bank accounts. But when we have somebody who can come in with like a third party neutral perspective of, hey, I just want you to succeed. Like, let's look at this in a different perspective, or maybe a little bit more logically, or I'm just going to explain what's going on. It really changes the game for a ton of business owners when they're willing to take that, like that little scary step and just ask for help in their finances. It's huge.
Well, I'll just share about it because part of your role here at the Profitability Project, especially now that tax season is over, is we have actually made you our own CFO, which felt really backwards initially because I'm like, wait, I'm going to take on sales and marketing, even though I'm the finance person. I hate sales and marketing. I don't want to do that. But when I thought about the whole thing, because I'm so good at finance, it always became the last priority because I was like, well, I just kind of know what I'm doing. And so I never actually did it. And then after a series of unfortunate events, namely a really great therapy session where I learned with my sister, not an actual therapist, where I learned that the reason that I feel stuck on a hamster wheel is because of my pricing. I was like, that rocked my world because I was like, how dare I consult other people on this if I can't figure it out for my own business? Went through a whole identity crisis. It's fine. Came back, realized everyone is their own worst client. And I said, you know what? I'm going to literally put my money where my mouth is. And I'm going to hire a CFO. Luckily, I had one on staff already, so it worked out great for me. And I said, I don't want to do any of it anymore. I don't want to be in charge of my own bookkeeping. I don't want to be in charge of my own AP and payroll. And I definitely don't want to be in charge of the budget or pricing decisions or spending decisions. I want Bailey to do this. And Bailey really the point that we've got to is, you're sitting in that seat, but there hasn't been like a ton of action, again, because we just put you through hell with tax season. Mostly today is like when I feel like we've kind of started those conversations. And even still, the weight that's off my shoulders, the way that I am 100,000% more confident in the legitimacy of our business and the profitability of our business and how things are going to run financially around here. I can't even tell you the value to have it. It's the perfect experience to then go turn around and sell it to everyone else because it's seriously changed everything. It's so valuable. But anyways, that's kind of a tangent on CFO stuff. But
well, to your point though, a lot of people who are coming to us, they're sitting in this CEO role of their business, right? And because they're maybe it's a smaller business or they don't have very many employees, they just naturally also have to sit in their own CFO bookkeeping role too. But you yourself, you and all these clients that we help, you're in the CEO role. And in that role, you have to be able to delegate when it's time. And knowing when to delegate can be really, really hard for some business owners because finances is a very personal, intimate thing, whether it is for business or personal. We learn a lot about our clients. I'll say that. We learn a lot.
We know a lot.
As a CEO, you have to be able to hand off work that is not income producing. And adding up all of your expenses from your bank statements is not income producing, right? I'm going to be able to come to you in a 1-hour meeting and show you all the work that we've put into organizing your finances and say, this is exactly where you're at. These are all the KPIs and metrics, the things that you need to know that you can now go make business decisions. And that's the benefit of having a bookkeeping team behind you and a CFO behind you, is because nobody likes to do the work, right? Nobody loves sitting in bookkeeping except maybe some of us weirdos, but we're going to gather all this data for you so that you can just make decisions. Go run the crap on your business. This is amazing. Go do what you're good at. which is running the business. And that's like, I could go on and on and on about how we can help business owners, but at the end of the day, that's it. Bookkeeping is not an income-making activity. And that's why a lot of people maybe push it off. Maybe they'll hire a marketer before they hire a bookkeeper because they can see that exactly how that investing in marketing is going to increase revenue. Like, that's super obvious. What's not super obvious is investing in bookkeeping is going to bring you more revenue. But if you take a step back and think, okay, I am going to just have the information handed to me that I can make decisions off of. I can see those trends of, oh, hey, this service isn't profitable, or this product I'm selling has lower margins, or maybe a slower turnaround time, right? Then I can just make those decisions way quicker instead of at the end of the year looking back and thinking, dang, I didn't make any money, or dang, it says I made a lot of money. Where's all my cash? Like, those scenarios suck.
And I will say too that bookkeeping, not only can you sometimes not see how it indirectly correlates to increased revenue or profitability, but sometimes it really doesn't. I will tell you when it doesn't. It doesn't if your bookkeeper doesn't know their shit. If they don't know what they're doing and your numbers are wrong, then this is all a moot point, and you might as well do it yourself because you can't make accurate decisions because your numbers are wrong. The second is and you wouldn't actually truly not believe how many bookkeepers have literally no idea what they're doing. Even the ones that work at the fancy CPA firms do a crappy job because CPAs don't care a whole lot about the bookkeeping. The second time is if your bookkeeper is sending you financial reports and you as a business owner don't know how to read those financial reports. If you're getting financial reports that you don't know how to read or understand, or you don't know the story that those numbers are telling, it's probably making you money because that's time off of your plate. And, to your point, delegating anything off your plate other than your exact secret sauce will indirectly make you money, but you will make probably 10 times more money if you add that CFO piece in it, because that's what the CFO is designed to do, is translate the financial reports into, hey, these are the decisions you should be making based on the story that I'm being told. And when you make those decisions, that's where the 10X comes from. And so that's why CFO is such a valuable thing, even for teeny tiny businesses, but sometimes especially for teeny tiny businesses, because every dollar matters so much and making decisions quickly matters so much. And then we could go into operations and everything you're talking about money being emotional, we're actually talking about on the next podcast episode. So you're just packaging up all our new offers and our next podcast episode so perfectly. But there's one more thing that I want to talk about before I let you go as far as truly taxes. Yeah, one more thing I want to ask about, and then I'll kind of recap what we said. But really quickly, tell us your go-to tax strategies. What are we telling people, all the time to do when we sit in tax strategy meetings?
Yeah, if you're coming to me in an actual tax strategy meeting during the year, some of the things that we're going to talk about, like my favorite things to talk about, first is having a board of directors, which nobody talks about, but having a board of directors, anybody can be on your board, right? Let's just say that you put your parents on your board of directors, you put your spouse on your board of directors, you put your best friend who lives 2 states away on your board of directors, you put your older kids on your board of directors, right? Then anytime you go on a business trip, say you're going to hey, we're going to go to Disneyland. Let's figure out how to write off Disneyland. We're going to have a business meeting at Disneyland, right? We're going to take 3 hours. Maybe it's not the funnest time to be spending in California, but we're going to take 3 hours and we're going to sit down as a family and plan out what our life as a family is like and how that relates to our business. Teach your kids about business. Teach your kids how the money is flowing in your household, how to handle finances. Use your business as an example. Get advice from your parents. Or maybe you're just even, telling your parents about what you're doing. Great. That's a board of directors meeting. Record it. Get a Google Doc and say, on this day, I met with these people. We talked about these things. I had these expenses incurred for my board meeting. There you go. And and this is why board of directors, this is why I use that phrase too, because with your LLC, it's not a requirement to file, but when you sign up to have, like, you're registering and incorporating with the state and organizing with the state, one of those things that you're agreeing to is having all of your legal documents in order. And that is having board meetings, board of director meetings. You don't have to file it, so nobody ever does it. But that's in the documents. That's saying, hey, I'm actually taking care of my organization. I'm actually treating this as a business. So, like, it's a thing, right? It's not just this made up thing that we're going to do, whatever. So having board of directors. Get somebody on your board that you want advice from. Call them up. Like, how amazing would it be to have a mentor that you have that actual relationship with? Call them up. Say, hey, I want to pay you $500 for a couple hours of your time. I'm going to take you to lunch. Will you be on my board of directors? I need a mentor. Like, ask people. That's great. Say you're supporting your parents. You're supporting your parents financially. Put your parents on your board of directors. And now when you're sending them $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month, it's a board of directors fee, right? So there's so many ways that you can incorporate things that you're already doing and already spending in your life by being brave enough to talk about your business to your friends and your family, and not being afraid of asking for help, and teaching your kids about business and about money, right? Like, be brave enough to have a board of directors. It's amazing. I promise you that not only does it help tax-wise, because you're able to take all these tax expenses of flying to our board of directors meeting in California and paying for our hotel room in California, but you're bonding with your kids. Like, your kids are going to remember that. The times that my dad sat me down and talked about his business, I remember those conversations. Even when he didn't even realize that I was listening. I remember, and I've learned a lot from him. The other thing is paying your kids. Just straight up paying your kids to work in your business. Have them clean your office. Have them shred papers. Have them help you. I mean, it depends on their ages, right? If you are doing a lot of marketing, take pictures of your family. If you're already marketing your family, you're a family business, have a photo shoot. Pay your little models. Pay them a modeling fee. Right? And this is why it's so amazing, because you can pay your kids up to the equal of the standard deduction for the year, the single standard deduction, which this year is like $14,400, whatever that number is. If you pay them up to that amount, they don't have to pay taxes on it, right? So you get the tax deduction. They're not paying any taxes. Awesome. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this, though. I will say this is one of those things that you have to do very, very carefully. And so if you want to figure out how to do that, let's set up a tax strategy meeting, because it's not as simple as, like, at the end of the year, say, here's a $14,000 deduction for each of my children. That'll get you audited. So let's do that one the right way. There's things we got to do. Another thing that I love to have businesses implement is the Augusta rule. And this is where you can, and this does not work for sole proprietorships. This does work for partnerships and S corps. But you can rent out your business house, your home, rent out your home for 14 days and not claim any income. That's just like a general IRS rule, right? Law, tax code thing. 14 days. If you rent out your home for less than that, it's not considered rental income. You don't have to claim it. If you rent out your home to your business, for your board of directors meeting that you're hosting at your house for game night with your friends, right? You can your business can pay you for the use of the home up to 14 days throughout the year. Look up call the local hotel, see how much it costs to rent out their conference room, use that rate, right? Okay, if I was to rent out a room in the hotel, this is how much it's going to cost me that day. That's how much I'm going to deduct on my taxes. I'm going to pay rent. So those are 3 things that I really like talking to my clients about, especially during our tax strategy calls. Because 1, it's money that is transferring from your hands anyway. You're paying for your kids' gymnastics and your kids' basketball and your kids' this and that and everything. So you might as well make them work for it and then have them pay themselves, right? Ask them to do some chores that directly correlates with your business. Pay them the $180, and then they turn around and pay for piano for however much piano costs, right? Like, these are things that you're doing anyway. If you're strategic about it, we can write off a lot of stuff in your business legally, right? But you have to do it the right way. And so that's the thing, is you have to be strategic. You have to be meeting with your accountant. You have to plan for those things, because I can't look back and say, and just add $14,000 for the Augusta rule and $14,000 per kid. Like, that's going to get us both in trouble at some point. There's gray and then there's gray, right? And so there's a lot of things that we can do tax-wise during the year if we're meeting. Spend the money to have a tax strategy appointment, and you're going to save 2 times minimum. If I'm not saving you the fee that you're paying for your tax strategy call and taxes, then I'll refund you, right? I guarantee you that I'm saving you more money than you're paying for your tax call. So there's so many things, and it's just about being proactive and being willing to sit down and talk about your business and take the time with the right people.
Accountants get a really bad route of my accountant was really uncommunicative and they didn't give me any strategy, and they didn't tell me anything about, what to expect or how to expect it. And they charged me whatever to file my taxes. And I just sometimes, and I get it, because literally half of our marketing is throwing rocks at other accountants. So listen, I say the same things. And there are accountants that are that way, right? They don't offer tax strategy. They don't want you calling them after April 15th. They, don't think beyond 2 seconds of your business. But if you are only showing up on April 10th and expecting all of that for $500, that's not an accountant problem. Unfortunately, no accountant can help you with that. But if you spend, the time and the money to get a tax strategy meeting.
But to that point, though, a lot of business owners have to be willing to sit down and take ownership of their business from beginning to end, right? Your tax accountant is not in charge of your finances. That is your job as a CFO. They're not the ones, or the CEO, they're not the ones spending the money, right? They're the ones telling you what you did with your money. You need to take ownership of that. And that's really scary for some people, because they know they're not doing it as well as they could, or they just don't know what they know that they don't understand. They know that they don't know how to read financial statements. That's okay. Most people don't. We don't, if someone comes to me and says, I don't understand what this balance sheet means, that's fine. I didn't know either until I actually sat down and learned about it and learned how it applied to business, right? I know because I've spent 10 years looking at balance sheets. I don't expect someone brand new to understand a balance sheet, but I want you to understand that it is your responsibility for what these reports and statements are saying and what you can do with that. Take the time to learn, and that's okay. We all started at the beginning. So that's just my little your love letter from your local accountant. We want you to sit down and learn and take ownership so that we can work together, right? There is only so much I can do without taking over your credit card and just taking over your business, right? We can't do that. So
I appreciate truly how vulnerable and scary and kind of horrible it is. Like, let's just be real. Giving a somewhat stranger all the information about how your business is performing, including how much you pay yourself, all the things that you are not writing off, the income that's coming in, the income that's not coming in. I think it's a little extra scary for me because I should be good at all of this. At least I feel that way. But it's very, very scary, very, very vulnerable, and really an easy way to find a lot of holes in your business as it stands, which is horrible as someone who is high achiever perfectionist, right? Like, that's the worst thing ever, except for how else are you going to grow? And so it's worth it. I know it's scary. I know it's vulnerable. We always talk about how it's like a mammogram. One of our clients compared it to a mammogram. It's like, you're just putting everything out there and for everyone to see and figure out. And you think that it says something about you, which again, we're going to talk about in our next episode. But the reality is that money and your financials are morally neutral. So just like laundry, if you're good at laundry or you're bad at laundry, that actually doesn't mean anything about you because it's a morally neutral thing. Finances are morally neutral. There's no reason that you should understand a balance sheet unless you're an accountant. Same way that no one would expect me to be an expert at marketing, even if I'm bootstrapping the marketing seat right. Start with tax strategy. Really, probably start with bookkeeping because we can't do a whole lot if we don't even know the numbers. So bookkeeping is probably first and foremost, but you can do that yourself. So bootstrap it if you must. As far as paid services, you're not going to be great at tax strategy as a business owner if you don't have a background. Do 2 tax strategy sessions in 2025, and Bailey has personally guaranteed she will get you your money.
Yeah. Personal guarantee stamp. If I do not save you your fee in taxes, I will give you your money back. Promise. Guaranteed. Because seriously, that's how powerful tax strategy planning is. I stand by that.
Yeah, no, I do too. That is the fastest and most effective way for us to make any kind of difference. Like, if you're like, I can't pay for anything except one thing right now, please start with 2, maybe even 4 tax strategy sessions in 2025, long before the end of the year, please. I beg of you, not just for my own convenience, but for the accuracy and the effectiveness of those tax strategies. Then bookkeeping. And when I say bookkeeping, I mean like solid freaking bookkeeping, because bookkeeping is, how'd you say it? It's the foundation of all, right? Accurate bookkeeping that produces financial reports that you can understand. If you can't understand them, that's when you can bring in a CFO so that you're making data-driven decisions. We talked about the legal and tax structures of each business. So make sure you know what you are. And then last but not least, if you hate us because you call us April 10th, I'm so sorry, but anytime you call us April 10th, you're just not gonna get a great experience.
Any accounting firm you call April 10th, it's not fun.
It's not going to be great.
We are cranky and tired and over-caffeinated, and we want to help you, so we're trying our darndest. But it is tough on both sides.
Yes, like, I think it's something that, I knew that CPAs were busy during tax season, obviously, like that age-old, tale is as old as time. But I did not realize how much the previous year and the actions you take during that year affect your experience at your tax firm. You could be at the Big Four and have the world's best accountants, which I actually have opinions on, but objectively, they are known as the best accountants in the United States. And if you don't prep the year before and you show up on April 10th, you're going to hate it there too. I promise. Like, you will not have a good experience. Yeah, we have a lot to do because we are up against a deadline and you're all calling us at the same time, which we love and we want to help you. But I don't just tell you to get bookkeeping and CFO services for your small business because I want reoccurring revenue, although that is a part of it. Like, we're not going to lie here. That is a part of it. But it's also because it makes your tax experience that much better and more accurate and more effective. So, did I capture everything? Did I get all your important points?
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. At the end of the day, like, you as a CEO, you're in charge of your business. Take ownership of your business. We're going to take ownership of our side too, right? Like, I am committed to getting you the best tax refund, if possible, ever. I'm going to take ownership of my side. I need you to meet me halfway to take ownership of your side too. Because if it's just me trying to dig through the weeds and you're not giving me anything to work with, like, it is what it is, right? So meet me halfway. That's what we're asking.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's math, right? If there's only so many expenses that we can prove, like, we can't just wave a magic wand. So, Bailey, you are truly brilliant. And how we ever survived without you, I will never know. I told Bailey today that her phone...
Too sweet.
Yeah. I told Bailey that her phone number has officially been saved to my favorites, which all my employees are now. And that is basically the sign that you're retiring here. No more hopping around. This is it for you. You had other plans, but it's like a cult. Like, we actually don't allow you to leave. So
no one come save me. I'm fine.
I love that you're here because, and this is true of all of my employees, it always has been, but I love being able to talk to clients and sell tax services because I know they're going to get fantastic treatment. They're going to have a great experience. They're going to get the best quality work for, what they're hoping to get, and they will have their pain points resolved. And so having you here, and obviously, Becca, that's true of you and Mackenzie and our new bookkeeper that starts next week, I'm sure that will be true as well. But I just love, as a business owner, confidently being able to be like, no, you need Bailey. Bailey's going to change your life. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Normally I would be like, how do people reach you? But
that's how you reach me. Call Joey. I do not have a business Instagram or Facebook. I took them down because that's just not. I work better in this way. So if you need me, call Joey. She's got me.
Fantastic. We will be getting a business phone number after tax season. I am kicking all of our clients off my personal cell, except for the ones I truly have like outside friendships with. But when we get that up and running, that's the number to call if you want a tax strategy session, if you want tax filing help. One last thing that I'm going to say really fast that you kind of alluded to earlier is just because the deadline's passed doesn't mean that you should run from taxes and just continue avoiding. Even though you're late, now is still going to be so much better and so much cheaper than calling us in October to get 2024 done. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to be mad. After April 15th, we're much happier people, if you can't tell. So please, we are more than happy to help get things done and taken care of now. Shoot us an email. Shoot us a DM on Instagram. If you have any questions and you reach out to me, I will make sure that Bailey gets to you and answers them, because you don't want me giving you tax strategy. That would not be good for anybody. So that's what we're going to do. Great. Thanks again for being here. We're so happy to have you on the team. And
thank you. It's been fun.
You hard launch you to all of the clients. You've been hard launched.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Thanks for tuning in to the Profitability Podcast. For more business and finance content, follow us on Instagram at the Profitability Project LLC, or visit our website at theprofitabilityproject.com.